Welcome everybody to another CTC software webinar. Today we're going to be talking about our Nexus content management tool and specifically how regular Civil 3D users would want to use that in their everyday use. My name is Tony Crick. I'm the Civil Product Manager here at CTC Software. If you have any questions while we go along, please enter them into the question panel of your GoToWebinar tool there, and we'll get to them at the end. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. We appreciate you tuning in, and feel free to share this with other folks. If you want to sign up for future webinars, go to our website and our events page to get all of the webinars that you might want to be interested in seeing. We also have a large playlist there of all of our tools. So if you're wanting to know how to use something, that's a good place to look. So with that, let's get started. So the Nexus suite of tools is specifically designed for the AEC industry. The CMS content management will help enhance the collaboration and will improve efficiency, and now within Civil 3D workflows as well as our Revit tools, which will make it easier to manage your design files, track changes, collaborate across teams, and especially when users are working remotely. And users can find data for AutoCAD, Civil 3D, PDFs, images, and other file types, along with Revit stuff. But we're not going to talk about Revit today, right? So today our main goal is to have you, the users, understand the core features of Nexus and how it relates to Civil 3D and how it can be integrated into your Civil 3D design and help make some of your projects more efficient and the management of those a little easier, and also how to share that stuff. So some of the pitfalls for content management and distribution in Civil 3D are we have some sort of limited ways of doing that. For instance, Design Center. So with Design Center, I'm sure we've all used that in the past or even still do. I know I have and do. It's great for some things, but it's hard to really find stuff in there for one, and things can get really cluttered. And then tool palettes, we know that that can be a time-consuming endeavor when you are attempting to share any of your tool palettes across an organization. So Civil 3D will handle some of that too. And then the styles, of course, are not easily shared from drawing to drawing. Sure, they're in a template drawing, but maybe they're not all in there, or maybe some don't match. Well, we can help with that too. And then remote users trying to get to that stuff through a VPN, that can be kind of slow and clunky at times. And so what does that do? That forces some users to, as I call it, going rogue, which means they're going to open up a drawing and they're going to mine some of the styles or whatever they want out of there. And that's going to hamper some of your consistencies really across the board, because you won't know if they're using the latest and greatest styles. And that's what CMS really does. The advantage of it is it can eliminate some of the tool palettes. For instance, we can work with assemblies, sub-assemblies, blocks, and more. We can find project-specific Civil 3D styles with a simple search. We can save those searches. And then libraries can also contain any client-specific styles, anything that has to do with a particular client and the way they might layer things or what have you. we can pull that stuff out using CMS as well. And then, as I mentioned, we can save those searches for future projects and typical data, things that we like to use on a consistent basis. So with that, let's show you how Hive, in case you haven't seen it before, or not Hive, I'm sorry, Nexus, how that works. So I'm going to slide this right here. Today we're not really going to get into a drawing. We're just going to show you around the Nexus and what it looks like. So for those of you who have seen it before or using it, you recognize this page. If you're new to this, this will be what opens up when you first access Nexus. So we come here to this home page. So we have our home, our search, your particular saved searches, and then we can add requests for things if we want to, then add content. That's really for CAD managers. Most of you are probably users and will not have access to that. That's controlled by a CAD manager. Then we have our saved searches, our favorites. We can have some questions. We pin this so it's always on top of things. I like to do that when it's on my second monitor over there so I can pull things across very easily. And then right here we have our user settings. So some of the things we can do in here in our organization settings, things you can find out about what's going on. But the user settings would be most important probably to most of you out there. So we have some settings for all of this right here. We can turn on our icons when we hover over it. I don't think they need to be that big. I'm going to tune that down to right in between. And then how many are displayed per page? What do you like to see? And that will really vary from user to user. Whoops, I hit enter. From user to user, and as you get used to it, seeing what you like to see in your library panes. So you just want to set all that, and that will hold for you, the user, continuously, no matter what you do. So I guess I didn't have to hit, it saved right away when I hit enter. So really the things we're going to focus on today are starting out with our libraries. That's really what controls everything is our libraries. So when you open it up as a user, whatever the CAD manager decides libraries accessible to you will show up here. You really have no control over those. And those are set in the portal through all of our accesses granted through that kind of thing. Today we're going to be talking about specifically in the AutoCAD and AutoCAD Civil 3D and then some of this over here. But just to show you what these look like and some of the advantages. So first I'm just going to show you this right here because I think this is a handy thing to have. If I hit my template drawings and I come over here and we're going to do this a lot today, and I say only AutoCAD specific, now I get a list of even a sheet set style or a sheet set, style, whatever, over here too. And then I can see all of the drawing templates that have been made available to me to start off with. So if I wanted to start a new drawing, I would just simply click this and away I go. So all you really need to know is the name of whatever you're using if you're doing a design, a survey, that type of thing. So we can jump back here to home to get at the libraries again. And that might be set. I mean, you might have one set like that. You could request that from your manager for a template library right there. It holds only templates, makes them easy to find. They could certainly be put into one of these other two categories too. But let's open up first the out of the box. We have a library here for our out of the box Civil 3D stuff. So this is everything that is out of the box. And I talked about that. How many do we see? The 50. So I see 50 before I have to come down here and refresh the page basically by scrolling. They're going to go through everything. Now this is everything that's in there. So we also have a library here that's Civil 3D specific for our organization here at CTC. So this has a lot of stuff in there. This has like every style you could ever want to get at, and it can be added to at any time by your CAD manager, but that's a lot of stuff. Whereas the other one out of the box, let's look at that, it's $679 only. So clearly we've been working on our specific Civil 3D library here. So adding a lot of stuff. And we can also see if you have the rights to it. It doesn't have to be just AutoCAD stuff. If I clear this filter, I'm going to see everything. So I have permissions to look at all the Revit stuff too. So on the Revit end, what the architectural division over there is doing, I can see all their stuff too. And it includes things like PDFs and Word documents, as you may have seen scrolling through there. So a lot of stuff there. But for our use, we would probably mainly want to do that. So we're seeing our AutoCAD stuff. So what are some of the things we can do? So that's a lot of content. We know that's a lot of content. So let's cover searches here a little bit. So there are certain things we probably want to look for in here if we want to load that stuff into a drawing or compare it to overwrite a style that might be in there. So let me first just do a search. Let's search for points. So if I hit points and hit enter, and it doesn't have to be the whole word, it can be the beginning of it. But I'm going to see everything that has to do with points in this library. So 20 of them in there. So now I can come over here for other searches. I can come here and I can start to look for things I want in there. So if I type point in here, for instance, it's going to start to show me things that have point in them. So if I just want point styles, I can click that and hit my refresh right there. And here's all the point styles that are available in this library to pull from. So if I needed a point style for something, I could just grab one of these. If it wasn't in my drawing template, for whatever reason, I could come here and grab one of those. So pretty easy ways to get at stuff like that. Another thing we can do is we have saved searches. So my saved searches is this. So as you can see, these icons are different. These, and there's not one here. What that's telling me is that this is a saved search, for instance, the template one that the CAD manager has made available for everybody to go get. So that's why I could see all of that stuff right there, is because it's been a shared search. It's been made available. Someone requested it, and so all this is there. So even if I click walls, I should get walls. Okay, let's go back to templates. Okay, let's skip that. Anyway, let's let me move on to up here. We have the same thing. So we can see the same thing up here. So if I click that, not sure why it wasn't working in the other pane, but if I click that, now I see all my point styles, which we kind of searched for before. But if you notice, these filterings have changed over here. So if I click another one, we'll see that it's going to only see that. Okay, so this is what it's looking for in that blocks, which I can turn on and off here, clear this out and apply. I can also clear my search this way and back to everything. So then if I come back here and click this one, for example, there's some legend blocks that I like to use or that have been made available to me. The same with some assemblies right here that you could pull from the tool palette. They can be loaded here to pull from. So that's some ways we can access some of the searches. So next, let's talk about filters. So I kind of showed you how the filtering works over here, but there's a lot of filtering that we can do here. So let me clear that and go back to everything is there. So some common things you might want to do is to have a search that's just AutoCAD template, let's just say. So I could set this and I could save that as just apply, and now it's only AutoCAD stuff. So if I wanted to save that to get back to that at any time, and I can append any of these too if I like. If I wanted to change any of these, I can overwrite it. I'm going to make a new one here, and I'm just going to call it ACAD only. Let's just say that. Whoops. Fat fingered it. Let me do that again. ACAD only. Let's call it that. I'll just put in here that contains only AutoCAD specific data. Let's save that. And then I save that. So I could share it with the organization here too. I'm not going to. It would have to be approved by the manager. But if I click that now, and if I come back up to here, I might have to refresh that to get that. But then I can get at it there. Let me clear these filters. Let's see if that hung on to it up there. There it is. It probably was there the first time. Just wasn't expecting to see it there. And so now I don't have to come in here and do this. So some of the other filtering things we can do, we can sort by relevance. We can sort by rating. That's not relevant for us. Would probably be name mostly, or relevance. In most cases as Civil 3D users. AutoCAD content would be turned on. And we have our AutoCAD categories, which I kind of showed before. But we can look for all kinds of different stuff in here. So alignment, if we want alignment styles. And then if I pull this down, I don't know why I'm not seeing that. What did I do? So if I do it here, there we go. So now all I'm seeing is here is alignment styles. Okay, but what if I'm just looking for label styles? We can do it that way too. So now I'm seeing all my label styles. I can click these on by this way too. So if I click that and I say apply, now that's all I'm seeing. All I'm seeing is alignment label styles. So when you can hover over these, it's going to tell you what library it's going to pull from. Okay, whichever one is on top is the one that's going to take this one. Some of these are in both, like this one here is in both, but it's going to pull from this one first. So we created this library and assigned this icon. You would assign, if you wanted to, your own company label style or icon style, I mean, to help you differentiate the different things like what's out of the box if you don't do that. Okay, I did see a question. I will get to that at the end. So that's some of the filtering we can do there. So a lot of filtering stuff here. We can do some advanced surface or filtering down here too. When did we think it was put in? Which was added by, let's do a search for just stuff that was added by me. So now I can see that right there. So let's move on to favorites. So our favoriting is right up here. So it's different than our save searches. They can work together, totally up to you. But things you might use like really regular. So like a profile style that you're using here, or a band style that you're using here. Maybe you only like to look at that when you're working. I know I myself keep a working folder before it goes to full production to be added to the set. So to add that, something like that, so if I had another one here that, here's a legend, I like to add to my favorites. So I want this to be easily accessible. So I do a right click on here and I just say mark as favorite. So once I do that, it's instantly in there. So if I come back to my favorites, there it is, right there. So we can work with a lot of favorites, and these can be fully filtered too. We can filter that all out if we want to. Another thing we can do with our filters, and let me go back to a library here and show you, just to get back to the filters for a second, because there's a lot of stuff that we can do with our filters. So I can do these also by file extension. And so with some of our other tools, we have included some, for instance, Label Genie templates. So these are my Label Genie templates. You may have seen them in the previous screen, but I can get at all of these Label Genie templates right here as well. And I can load these. Now we have included those with the latest release, but instead of going and getting them from a network location or whatever, if you like these, you have made these, you can put those in here as well, along with our auto grader too. We have auto grader ones in here. Apply, and we can put drawing filters, all kinds of stuff in there as well. So that's favorites. I think we covered those. Now let's look at some of these other ones. I'm going to go back to my favorites. Because you saw me do this before, I just want to get into some of the right-click options that are there, aside from the favorite. So some of the right-click options we would like to probably see on a regular basis, if we're not sure, we can come in here, and this kind of draws off our filtering too, but this is an important one here, the details. So what are the details of this? I can open this up and I can see it was first added and then updated again. So this one, particular one, hasn't been changed. This one I think has. Let's look at this one. So yeah, this was originally added by another one of our CAD managers. Here's Sean. And then I updated it. So if this was an original one and things have happened to it in the meantime, now we know it's probably up to date, which most likely good to go. If we don't think so, we would probably have to contact the CAD manager to get at that. But a lot of stuff you can see out of here where it's coming from. Then it also lets us know if it's cloud hosted, which would mean that it's available on the cloud. So if it was done right and it says cloud hosted right there, that means you can get at it from anywhere. All you have to have is a web connection to do that. So some of the right-click options, we can do the same things here. We can open, we can load, reload, update, and this is really more for the manager section, of which I happen to have all those privileges, so I can do that. Most of the time, you as a user would not be able to control any of that, in which case you would have to contact your CAD manager and get access to those types of things. So some tool palette things, we looked at that. Blocks, we can look for blocks in here. And every block that is in our library, we can get at. Let me come back to here to my libraries, open that up again, clear my filters. And I'm going to look again for, actually, let's do our favorite guy here. ACAD only, right there. Okay, so let's look for some blocks in here, for instance. Sort by name, AutoCAD categories. Make sure you clear those if you're looking for stuff. So ACAD blocks, hit that. And here's all the blocks that are in there. So if you go through Design Center, you're going to see, so there's 449 of a 450. That's a lot of blocks. But if you know you're looking for something in particular, a block to pull in, a Design Center isn't always the best for that. So if I'm just looking in there and all I want is a hydrant, can you give me a hydrant? So here I have 4 options to choose from. And in particular, the existing and the proposed, something easy enough to load. So just some more of the ways we can filter and look for things that really make our content management easier and more efficient. So that's really all I had today. I thank you for joining us today for this webinar. And if you want to see, like I said, future ones, please go to our events page on our website and sign up for future webinars.